guys, today we're going to do a video on this thing. This is the Phantom. So, that's what it looks like right there. These are the little anchors that the bungee goes through, and then you just tie it off down here simply. It's a simple little tie off, and then the this butts up against the bottom holes. At this point, you've probably seen videos about it. You've probably read about it. You've seen pictures of it on Instagram. You know, it's kind of a hotly debated topic in how it's going to affect lacrosse, and there's a lot of conjecture, and there's a lot of uninformed opinions, and even informed opinions. That's going to happen with any product that is unique, that is kind of taking a I was going to say left turn, but this is right. Taking a left turn from the norm. And this, without question, is a left turn. Sometimes to get to where you're going, you got to turn left. This will not affect lacrosse negatively. This will not kill stringing. It won't kill mesh. It won't kill traditional. It's not going to do anything except give kids who are new to lacrosse, who don't have access to stringers, an avenue in which to have a consistent, easy to install head. On most lacrosse teams in the US, and just about every lacrosse team that I've been involved with, there is usually one stringer, sometimes two, but usually one good stringer. You know, if you think about that, that leaves a whole lot of lacrosse players out there who can't string. And I know that it's changing. You know, that might be an old model. Today with the internet and you know, all the tutorials and all the resources that stringers have, I think there's a lot more stringers than there ever has been. If a kid new to the game, he's coming in, obviously he's not going to be on a team that that has a lot of stringers, because if he's new to the game, he's probably on a B team or a C team or some entry-level, you know, house team or something, and chances are there's not a single stringer on that team. So a kid like that who wants to step right in, if he happens to get a stick and it's not strung, or it's strung really poorly, you know, and he's not able to throw and catch, something like this, which is going to be $30, which is cool, and installs in 3 minutes, 2 minutes, I don't know, something. I know a lot of people have commented on how, you know, like, how can that have any hold? But it does, and it throws. It's a nice release, and it's consistent, so it's cool. You know, a kid who isn't going to be able to string himself, doesn't have access to a stringer, you know, something like this, throw it in his stick and it's going to grow with him. That's what's cool. I mean, everyone, in all the reviews I've read and the videos I've watched about it, they talk about, you know, beginners. And truthfully, you know, this is the kind of thing that will grow with a lacrosse player. If he chose to use this throughout, you know, there's no reason to take this out. If it's what you love and if it's what's working for you, just because you go from 8th grade to high school, you know, you don't have to take it out. You can use this. The first time I put it in, I was like out in the backyard on the bounce back, throwing straight down, and I was like, what is going on? I had it real loose down here. I talked to Michael, and you know, I sent him pictures of how I did it, and he was like, oh yeah, you know, look at the bottom, and then look at the bottom pictures I sent you, how it's supposed to be done. I was like, oh yeah, I didn't follow directions really well, but that's sort of the story of my life. But it's really not a complicated install. I made it more complicated than it needs to be, but that's sort of how I do things. But once you get it installed right, and this is installed correct, it's on the heavier side, but this is heavier than the final production model will be. I don't have a weight for it, and I think the shot speed you could generate with the weight on the end, I think it'd be pretty nice, actually. You know, I've read people talking about how, you know, it's a high pocket only, because if you see where the ball sits, that's obviously high. But the beauty is that, you know, you drop it vertical like this, and you've got a low pocket. You know, a horizontal cradle, obviously it's going to settle there. A shoulder cradle, obviously, if you're cradling, it's gonna sit up in the high pocket. But if you are setting to split dodge or whatever, you know, it's going to drop to the low position. But it's in there, you know, it's deep enough that it's locked in. I've seen questions about, you know, well, how could it have any hold? They think this is hard plastic, but it's really flexible. Look at that. So hold is awesome. You know, you could throw fakes. It's kind of, I mean, I wouldn't say this is grippy material. It's smooth plastic, but it does react well with a ball with pressure. So inertia from cradling, you know, it's locked in there, but then it's smooth enough that when you shoot, it comes out nicely. And really, I mean, the ultimate beauty is that snow, rain, any kind of bad weather, this is gonna hold up just fine. And once it's installed, there's no adjusting. I mean, there's nothing that could happen here that would loosen it. And once you're locked in, tied in the bottom, I mean, it's there, it's stuck. It gets wet, gets muddy, you know, hose it off, whatever. There's no adjusting it. There's no maintenance, which is cool, especially for someone new to the game. The way the pocket sits and the way it throws, it kind of enforces proper form. So a kid just learning how to throw, you know, this is going to help him learn how to throw correctly. Whereas if you have a really poorly strung factory stick, he may adjust his throw, you know, and learn to throw with that, and it's completely backwards, and it's going to hold back his growth until he gets a decently strung stick or a pocket that he can work with. Now, one thing Michael said, which I thought was it's a good quote that, you know, I'm surprised I haven't heard it elsewhere in the stringing world, is that no amount of wall ball will fix a bad pocket. You know, wall ball's great to get the muscle memory, work on your stick skills, work on your offhand, but if you're hitting the wall with a bad pocket, no amount of reps is going to fix that bad pocket. I thought, well, that's a good point. And, you know, talking about stringing in the US, like I said earlier, you know, historically, one good stringer per team. I think that number's on the rise now in the US. But if you look at our expanding markets, our new markets, where lacrosse is growing and where we need it to grow, South America, Africa, Europe, who's stringing there? You know, there's a couple good stringers in every country, probably. You know, every European country, maybe, you know, not a lot. I know of a few for sure. But I think, you know, the number of stringers, the number of good stringers where we want to grow the game, I think that's at a minimum. So, you know, getting kids and getting people to play the game and play it at a level that will help them improve, you know, something like this is good. Something like this will definitely grow the game. You know, I hear a lot of, most of the negative stuff I've read about it, it's from kids, younger people, who are like, oh, you know, why not just leave the game the same? And they kind of, maybe being on the younger side, they don't understand the history of the transition from wooden sticks to plastic sticks, from traditional stringing to mesh. And they haven't really put two and two together that the reason our game is where it is today is because people took left turns and went a different route and innovated. You know, the me generation, I'm going to sound like an old man here, but none of the lacrosse players I've ever met are like this, but I know that the youth of today is generally entitled and they just expect. And so I think it's pretty telling when a lacrosse player, a young lacrosse player, is kind of angry about innovation. Like, oh, that sucks, it's ugly, ew, why are you changing the game? Because they just expect that things will get better without innovation. You know, they're angry about innovation. They're angry about people trying new things because they just kind of assume that the products I use, you know, came out of thin air, and if things are going to get better, those things as well will just appear. But it's a journey to get to better and better gear, better and better ideas, and, you know, innovation. I talk a lot on my channel about innovation, and it's absolutely a process, and it's absolutely a journey, and it doesn't just happen. So when someone's upset about something like this, those are the same kind of people who were upset about mesh back in the day, or probably upset about the first plastic heads. I get it, you know, some people just don't like change. But if you look at the world, you know, we're nowhere without change in everything. So, you know, to the people who are upset about something like this, I would say, just open your mind a little bit, relax a little bit, get your hand on one and try it. And it may not be for you, and it may never be for you. And that's fine. You know, not everything works for everybody, but understand its purpose, understand its role in the lacrosse world, and it absolutely has one. $30, plug and play. We can get kids good pockets without much fanfare. I think that's important. I hope to see this catch on. You know, I'm not gonna use it, but that doesn't mean I don't like it. That doesn't mean I don't think it has a place in the lacrosse world. I absolutely do. And one thing this won't ever be is a face-off head. You know, obviously it's not going to take the place of mesh, and we know that. We know that. It's not going to take the place of traditional. It's not going to take the place of mesh, but it will fill a need. And I think that's cool. You know, I think the Warrior Warp fills a need. Someone who needs to pick up a stick and needs to just go out and play right away, you know, pop that sucker on and you're good to go. And it's an important need, and they're all sort of in the same niche area, but how great is it to have options? So, you know, the Warrior Warp, the Phantom, the String King Complete, to a lesser degree, this is really just a traditional or just a regular stick, but the fact that it comes complete and it comes ready to go, it sort of falls into the same category as the Warp and as the Phantom. But how great is it to have options? You know, if a brand new player comes in and the guy in the store is like, well, you've never played? All right, well, here's what we've got. These things should work for you. And the kid can look at this, that, and the other thing, pick what he wants, and go play. How would we ever find that to be a bad thing? I can't wait to see what happens with it. So anyway, guys, that's that. This is the Phantom. Go check them out at the website here. It's cool. It's different, and I like it. I like it. I like that it's different. I like that it's unique. I like that it's innovative. I like that it's trying to fill a void, or shore up a void, I should say. You know, we've got a couple products that are similar, kind of doing the same things, way different price points, and different approaches. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.